Right there. Yes, it's live. So I'm here with Neff from Global Frequency, B.A. Turner with Vigilance Creed. Global Frequency's book is JUDEX. I have seen some of JUDEX around. I haven't seen too much of Black. I'm always curious of like if it's even been on my radar, but I realize I don't. You kind of have to look pretty directly, make a point of like seeking out to see what's out there. And it's one thing I like about doing the promo streams is people come to me so that I'm like, ah. But yeah, Judex, I was on with Tucci and they were promoting it there because it's like a public domain book, right, Neff?
Yep. The
Yeah.
originally the character was he's from 1916. He debuted in a silent film. Very different take on the character that we're doing. Mike got inspired by the story behind Judex about how that character relates to the Shadow in the 40s when the Nazis had occupied Paris. The publication just kind of published shadow stories under the name Judex. So this silent film character kind of became a moniker in a way for the Shadow to be in the paper, and so Odin kind of ran with that, and he's now in this incarnation the cultural protector of France during Nazi occupation in the 40s.
Cool. Is Odin the writer? What are you, the editor or co-writer?
Well, so Odin came up with the story, the primary story of this character, Judex, and Javert, the police officer, who's the character that he seeks to judge in the first issue, and I helped Odin with the script, and we made the comic as it stands right now out of the work that Odin and I did together. I also served to edit the book, and in my capacity as an editor. Yeah.
Cool.
Also,
I've
Tim.
seen, yeah, in Global Frequency, I've seen you around, but I don't remember like how, like, what's your origin story of, and like, what have you been working on? And is
So
this your
our
first foray?
first
Or,
book was Mavericks. That
okay.
was a book that we ran 2 years ago, and it was about big, stompy, giant robots. And it's a lot of fun. It's big, oversized, colorful book that we've been bringing around to conventions. And this is our first foray into a black and white, more traditionally sized comic with Odin. And it's the first collaboration between our company and his, first of several that'll be coming out over the next 2 years.
Cool. That's fun. Real quick, Odin's here. Odin, what's up? Can
Hey,
you hear me?
Odin is.
What's up, guys?
Yo.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say real quick, Praetor 7, he goes, "What's up?" I just saw all the Z's and I was like, are we putting him to sleep? Oh crap. And then I read the rest of it. I was like, no, no, no. We are being very entertaining. You guys like this. We got lots of people in the chat that are like regulars on the channel so far, the early comers. Thanks for being here, everyone. NPC Oasis, Alex BRB. 14 people watching. It says there'll be more. We'll see how high it gets. Sometimes it can get up to 50 even, which is
Ooh.
very nice. We appreciate everyone being here. And yeah, we're just promoting 2 books. There is a lot of books, so just like I'm getting the word out so people even know they exist is half the battle. And then I'm curious just often too about like the ecosystems of Comicsgate, where you guys can come on my channel. There's probably a lot of people who haven't seen your books at all yet. So that's why when you're trying to like curate your own tour for promotion, it's like you hit up Narwhal, you hit up Tucci, you hit up whatever, and then you kind of can triangulate to try and catch everyone basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
I see some
absolutely.
familiar names in your chat.
Yeah. Guy in his room's here. Odin, we were on with Tucci together, so good to see you again.
Yeah, man. It was great to finally meet you. Like your name has obviously been in the periphery since I started. I started about 3 years ago, and I think we were on like one stream together once, super early on, but we never gotten a chance to actually like hang out and chat on a stream. So it was really cool getting to do that.
Yeah, nice. Check this out. I got this in my fridge for the past week, and I never know when to drink it because I usually drink coffee, and I'm like, I can't drink both. But then today, I was like, I think I'm gonna drink it. So let me see if I can crack it into the mic. Can you hear that? Like,
Nice.
some Monster Energy drink ASMR. That's for you guys. Real quick, let me check in with B.A. Turner. B.A., what's your story? How long have you been around, and the story behind Vigilance Creed and stuff?
Yeah, so I've been in the space for about a year. I've been in the live chats and really active on Twitter, just connecting with everybody in CG. And I connected with Corey Barton about a year ago to have him do a cover for one of my novels. And, from there, I had him do a second cover for the second novel and then decided to do a supplemental mini comic to go along with it. And yeah, it's a story about a team of gargoyles, or a gargoyle and a team of vigilantes fighting terror in Detroit. So a Lovecraftian style story that's kind of a mixture of sci-fi and urban fantasy.
Is that both novels are the same characters, like two different
Yep.
adventures? Okay.
It's one long story, so it's a duology. And
Oh,
then
cool.
there's plans to do full comic issues and a third spin-off novel.
Cool. This is pretty interesting because not too many people do novels in CG,
Mhm.
and it hasn't popped off yet, but I feel like it could at some point. Like I'm always a little interested too. There's a few novelists I know, and there's one is Doc Swift. He's been around
Mhm.
since the beginning, and I
Mhm.
always tell him he should crowdfund, and he hasn't done it yet. But I'm like, it seems like a good idea just to let people know because I don't know, even people read comics, they don't usually read exclusively comics. Oh, and
Right.
you know what was the one dude, Brendan Sanderson, did
Mhm.
he destroyed everyone? He made like 40 million or something. I was like,
Yeah.
that's like, we're all like, oh my god, Eric July 4 million. Brandon Sanderson's like, yes, with a novel I will make
That
you
was,
look. Yeah,
that's
like,
But
crazy.
Sanderson, though, like
yeah,
he's a pretty well-known novelist. Eric July is a well-known internet personality.
I know. Yeah, it is
Kind of a
funny of
difference
like,
in skill and reputation there.
yeah, like how does one reverse engineer that if you even can? I think Sanderson, was a little bit like has some like legacy layover from the satanic system. He was plugged in
Mhm.
early. And
Mhm.
so and he got in, not that he's made a deal with the devil or whatever, but he was like maybe written up in New York Times and all that kind of stuff. Like on the, maybe was he even ever on the level of like Harry Potter or anything like that, or his books?
He predates that. I mean, yeah, it's
Okay. So that the
He's a
other thing
pretty big
is,
name in the fantasy realm.
right.
You'd be
He did
hard pressed
he did
to.
Mistborn. Like the
Yeah.
whole Mistborn series, Skyward.
yeah,
So his name goes back a long ways in like the fantasy community. But I mean, it's not comics, it's novels, right? Although he was at I think he was at Tampa, so you guys might have run into him.
oh really? I would have said hi, but I forgot. Maybe he might have had a huge, I think someone might have mentioned it, but he had a huge line. I can't remember, but I would have wanted to say hi. I watch his he published his like lectures on storytelling onto his YouTube channel. Like they've been up for forever. And I watched all those. That's what Jordan Peterson did too. That's kind of a good little hack for people to get a big YouTube following and like build. It's like both paths at once, the Eric July path and the Sanderson path. But it sounds like he has a lot of time too then. So he's been doing it for like 20 plus years.
Yeah.
That helps. Then he's got, yeah, like the legacy stuff carrying over, and then when he does do a crowdfund, it like explodes. What do you guys think about the overlap between like the people who buy Sanderson's novels, if any of them would buy comics or read comics? I guess that's what we need. We need them to buy comics.
Yeah, I'd say just from my interaction between the two mediums and communities, with kind of the Iron Age being a lot of indie novelists and then obviously CG, my guesstimate would be probably 20 to 30% of novel readers, but it's kind of hard to say because most of them have all been interested in comic book characters throughout their life, right? Or comic book movies. So I think it would be much easier to convince them to get into comics or purchase an indie comic than the other way around.
Yeah,
Trying to
yeah,
get comic, folks to read a novel can be daunting because, and I can understand even myself, some novels are really slow, boring. There's no visuals. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing to kind of bridge that gap to be like, hey, let's add some visual art to to the story so that you're not getting distracted by trying to remember what these characters look like, and you can be more immersed because a lot of these novels, they don't even put the main character or any good cover art on their book. It's just like text or AI art or stock
Yeah,
images.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's like what I was saying earlier is like it just this how we want to reach a bigger audience, and they don't go. Nobody pretty much does it. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, "I want to back an indie comic. I'm going to peruse the market and pick
yep,
one and back it." That happens once in a while, but very rarely. Usually,
hmm
it's like it'll just kind of hit you here and there, and you're like, "Yeah, I will do it. I will pull the trigger." If you're on a live stream, someone's promoting. It's like so you do have to kind of actively go out there and sell it and let people know about it. And that's kind of the advantage that the old system, when the mainstream kind of has a little bit of an advantage over us on that. And it's almost like we got to build the ecosystem of just even people watching YouTube, which that is kind of back what they say is like, building a YouTube channel helps a ton for selling. But there's a ceiling to that. Like you could build as huge as Eric July, you're still not on Brandon Sanderson's level. And I think
right,
Eric July's YouTube channel might be bigger than Brandon Sanderson's. I don't know about that
I
though.
don't. Yeah, I don't know if
probably
Brandon Sanderson thrives off of his YouTube though. I don't think
right.
that's probably the primary source of his income. I doubt that he's a podcaster, live streamer to the degree that July is, especially since most of July's popularity, notoriety, and fame came from that particular medium, and Sanderson's came from the printed medium,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
There's a
come from
guy.
different worlds.
Yeah, and Polito is like that, but again, kind of on the semi smaller scale. But he's more like the Sanderson model, where he has the legacy stuff carrying over. He's not a big YouTuber. He's kind of relying on for him. It's maybe just the mailing list straight up, like, and it's continuing. He releases new books every 6 months or whatever, and I don't know how many people, like 10,000 people, back it, and then he's making 250,000 um, every 6 months or whatever. So he's definitely still doing well. Um, but yeah, so we still haven't solved that full riddle of how to continue to grow and reach more and more
hmm
people. Some of it might happen naturally over time. Again, kind of like 20 years is a long time. If you say Sanderson has 20 years to grow his audience, so
Yeah, for sure.
CG's kind of young comparatively. Why don't we BA? Let's do the Vigilance Creed kind of pitch real quick, and then we'll talk some JUDEX. So how to Vigilance Creed? I know you mentioned it's about gargoyles and stuff.
Yeah, so it takes place in modern day Detroit. It's obviously engulfed in corruption and mayhem, just like real Detroit always has been. And that mayhem and corruption is headed by the antagonist named Incubus. They're on the left side, who has unearthed a Nazi era mind control serum that allows him to enter the subconscious of his subjects and bend their minds to his will. So essentially, he can create super soldiers that feel no fear, no pain, and have to essentially do anything that he says. What he doesn't expect is for one of those super soldiers to slip up and get caught in the midst of an attempted rape by just an ordinary man on the street. That man not only neutralizes that super soldier, but during that fight he incurs a lethal stab wound. And just a few blocks away, there's a magical grimoire that awakens as a result of sensing that a man is being taken before his time unjustly, and it guides the priest that's the keeper of that grimoire to the protagonist, Slade Allen, to save his life. And in exchange, he is transformed into a gargoyle every night at the strike of midnight. He's lost his memory initially as a result of the trauma, but as he puts the pieces of the puzzle together, he starts to unravel the corruption in the city to find out who's behind all of it. And he encounters other people who are affected by this man's corruption and teams up with them to save the city of Detroit.
Nice. Yeah, sounds cool. How long is each novel?
So both of them they're oversized novels in the sense that they're more comic book size versus your standard 6 by 9 or 5.5 by 8.5. So they're both roughly 240 pages long. And then there's the supplemental mini comic, which as of right now will be between 15 and 17 pages, which has many of the major scenes, and it introduces each major and supporting character with key characteristics and information about all of them, and then has traditional comic paneling, 2-page spreads, etc.
So
With
is that kind of spoilery? Like if I back all three, you read that at the end kind of thing, or does it matter?
no, that's the mini comics more of art reference and information reference. So it's not gonna spoil the story by any means. So you could open it up first, flip through all of it, and then read the novel, but it will tell you, where each scene is located in the novel, so that you'll know, when you're at that point in the book. And the main goal is just so that people can properly visualize the characters, so that while they're reading, they're not trying to remember how the characters face was described or their abilities. They can focus on what's happening in each scene instead.
Yeah, that's a good idea to kind of tie it. Like there is a comic for sale, so we're all comic readers. You can buy the comic too, and then it kind of and then the main story is in this novel form. It's fun that it's two novels, 240 pages, larger sized. Like that's like an epic Mistborn book or whatever. It's on that level. What's your history in writing? How'd you get into it and stuff like that?
Well, I'd always been into writing poetry when I was younger and through college, but after college I got into reading Ayn Rand and her novels, and I kind of just stumbled into writing. I was going through a dark period in my life, and I had came up with kind of the concept of this story during a dream, actually, after getting a gargoyle tattoo. And one night I just sat down, started writing, and I fell in love with it. And just as I was writing, I just studied up and was reading constantly just to kind of self-teach. And that was 7 years ago. So I wrote these two over a course of 5 years, and then worked with a writing coach to fine tune everything, got it professionally edited. And then once I started getting cover art and got addicted to seeing the story come to life, I decided that I would, crowdfund it and try to, again, bring both mediums, into the story, and also try to connect novel readers and creators with comic book artists, and try to hopefully grow both spaces and get people within CG, more commissions, and hopefully reignite their interest in writing novels that are a little bit different.
Yeah, it seems that could be like what we were talking a little bit about earlier about how do you grow this overall market. It's just like overlapping and intertwining the two could help, like bringing in like, because it's not just CG that you're selling this to, obviously. Like if we could reach like Brandon Sanderson's audience, a lot of them might be interested. They'd be like, oh yeah, I do want to back that. What about, let me ask you, what about your influences for this story? Anything specific? Maybe some Cthulhu I saw from the art, or anything else? Or
Yeah, so it's kind of a mixture of influences. I mean, obviously you see the Lovecraft vibes there, and there's a lot of neuroscience and eeriness to the story, especially with the mind control when he enters the subconscious of his subjects. So that's where a lot of the Lovecraftian kind of type horror comes into play. But outside of that, it's a mixture of comic books and films. I was a huge fan of Marv Wolfman, with Deathstroke and Teen Titans. He's also a hybrid creator. He's written novels, obviously written a ton of comics. And then, filmmakers such as Christopher Nolan and Zack Snyder, their films heavily influenced me. Films like 300, the more dark and gritty, but with beautiful stories. Those were pretty big influences.
nice. I'm gonna try and watch the trailer. Sometimes my internet is slow, so we'll just see how it goes. Can you guys hear it okay?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, this Corey Bartner is sweet. My Monster energy drink is hitting the spot.
And some Joe Ball art.
Yeah, that's cool. Joe Ball was at Tampa.
Yep.
He's cool. Tampa's become like united more by under the oppression of Malin upon returning from Tampa. Is like we're all like being even more fused together. Is like it's just Tampa against the world. I'm like Tampa is like it's more than a place; it's an idea.
Yeah, I hope everyone goes next year because I want to try to make it. I couldn't this year because of work, but that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Where do you hail from in general in the U.S.? Are you near Tampa?
I'm in Nevada, so I'm on the other side. So
Okay. Well, they're talking now about one of the ones is going to be a Vegas one. So
that would be perfect.
Heck yeah, you definitely got to go to that. I went to Vegas for the first time last spring, and it was fun. My friend was like, "Yeah, let's go to Vegas. I go all the time. You should come." I was like, "What's it like?" He's like, "It's hard to describe." He's like, I'm like, "What do you do?" He's like, "You kind of just walk around and like look at everything."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah." He's just like, and then we were there, and he's like, "See what I mean?" He's like, "Look at that one thing," and it's like the hotel just has like a giant recreation of like a giant sculpture or something, and he's like, "That probably cost more than anything we've seen in like even just like Seattle or something," and it's just one section of a hotel in Vegas, and so that he's like he just liked walking around and enjoying all the like. I guess you could call it like civilization, even though it's kind of funny. It's just Vegas, but.
Well, and for the people that are horror fans, I guess. So I'm in Reno. I guess about 3/4 of the way down to Vegas, there's a clown hotel that is supposed to be extremely creepy and haunted. Everything's clown themed, so people might dig that as well.
That would be more stuff that Malin would make fun of after we get back. We could
I'm sure.
bait him into further becoming a prude. Yeah. So Odin and Global Frequency. I think. Tell me how you guys met. Sorry if you already said it once, but
Oh no, it's fine. So how we met, Neff? Do we want to like treat this like the how we met stories and everything like try and make this some banter, or how do you want to go about
this? Yeah. Odin, let me guess. Odin was like stumbling around. He's so clumsy. He was just falling everywhere. And then like your guys' hands touched as you went to pick up some books.
It was raining. And we shared an umbrella. Yeah.
And a warm embrace, right?
Yes, of course. At a train
Definitely
station.
a warm embrace because that's Odin's book, right?
Exactly. Nice.
I met Neff while I was doing promo for the Embrace. I think 2 years ago now.
About that,
right?
At least.
Which was a very fun stream, not just because Neff and I got along and Kim as well, everything, but because my son crashed it about halfway through, and like I didn't get like I started to get like embarrassed, and then all of a sudden both Neff and Kim just burst into laughter. I was seeing like my 3-year-old kid come on and like tug at my shirt and tell me he needed something. I was like, buddy, I told you I've got this stream that I'm doing. I'll help you out here in a sec. And it was a really fun thing. And so that was kind of like the start of everything. We started appearing on a bunch more streams together. And at one point, he was talking about doing an anthology book, like this anthology series for his book Mavericks. And I checked out, and he was talking about, what the book was, and I was checking out his campaign. And I got invested. And so I ended up pitching him a story to write for his Mavericks book. And that's where we really started working creatively. And, that story's gone through 9 drafts. It's been a process.
I made him rewrite it 8 times. Yeah.
So like we found in each other. People like I was able to take the creative punishment that he dished out, and I would keep coming back, and I I came to really trust his judgment from a creative standpoint. And so when I had the initial idea for JUDEX, I pitched it to him, and I read him a bit of the initial script that I had written, and he was like, "Dude, this is fantastic. Tell me more." And so that's really how we got started on the whole JUDEX thing. Was, I was looking at doing this book as a love letter to the pulp genre, and taking my love for the shadow and French culture and all of these things and blending them into this very stylized story. And Neff was all about it, and we and that's how it got started.
Nice.
He's pretty much on the money. Yeah, he brought this this wonderful story, and I read that I was blown away. Odin is great with ideas and creative impulse. He's very inspired in a lot of ways, and I kind of come in and I help temper the fires of creation, and together we forge a strong and enduring narrative together, and produce some
Yeah.
really quality work.
So you guys have a good like creative working relationship going.
Absolutely,
Like
yeah. We've
like steel
become
sharpens
friends
steel.
too. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. In fact, there's a great story where we're working on the JUDEX script, and he's getting like we've decided that we're going to rework this line of dialogue, and both him and I type the exact same thing into
Nice.
the script at the exact same
Yeah.
time. Like you could see
Yeah.
both of our cursors doing it at the exact same moment. I had like indented a space, and so we both just started to laugh. We're like literally on a StreamYard,
Right.
and this happens, and we both just start bursting out into laughter because it was a good time. It showcased that we were both very much on the same wavelength on how the character was supposed to sound and how he spoke, and the cadence and everything.
And it's really nice having like a writing partner in a lot of ways, because when you have someone to complete that other perspective, to see the things that you may not see, to provide the echo to the things you haven't yet heard, it creates a wonderful synergy of creative impulse. And that really blossoms into something quite incredible when you have two people who are very dedicated working on something together. And it's been that way with JUDEX. It was that way with MSS, the story Odin wrote for the Mavericks campaign, or the forthcoming Mavericks campaign, and it's been that way with the other projects that we've been working on together. So we've really been covering a lot of ground, and just it seems that everything that we work on together turns into something really remarkable.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember when I've worked with other writers, it's like you can get a similar feeling if you write something and then wait 3 to 6 months and then reread it, then you can kind of get that effect. But if you're working with someone, you can do that right away, so you can go a lot faster of getting it to where it needs to be, kind of thing, with fresh eyes and stuff.
And he's incredibly receptive to feedback. Like, I can turn to him and be like, nope, this sounds dildos, and we need to rework this, or that line could be stronger. How do we rephrase it so the syntax flows better? Or this character, when they're doing this thing, why? What's the motivation? It doesn't really make sense in the context of the plot. And when I bring up those I guess like little hiccups, Odin wastes no time. He's able to tackle that with me, and it's never a obstruction to getting the work done. It's how do we solve this? How do we overcome it? Nothing ever slows him down. It's, that's good. Thank you for seeing it. Let's make it stronger and better. And it's really encouraging to work with someone who has that type of tenacity.
Yeah, because sometimes if like the egos are balanced, I wonder if sometimes if they're both, it can be off. Sometimes it won't work, and it can be in cases where it works just right. And that's nice that you guys have that going on. I know if I'm collaborating too, the times I've done it where it works really well, it's usually where I've hired someone and I'm paying them, so I'm kind of the boss, and then the relationship can be very clear. Sometimes if I've collaborated without paying them, then it kind of becomes like a little bit of like, I want to do this. No, I want to do this. I might quit. Oh, don't, like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
100%. But for me, when it came down to this with me is like, one of my favorite lines for any book that I've ever read in terms of this is two sets of eyes can miss what one set can catch what one set missed, right? And and so like for me, I'd read, especially by the time we were working on JUDEX, I had read Neff's book Mavericks, and it was one of my favorite books of 2020. It was great. And so like it was a whole thing of, I know that none of the feedback that he is going to give me is going to harm the story. I trust him because I know the quality of storyteller he is. And so I'm not going to sit here, like, if he says something's wrong, something's wrong. And so I'm going, like, there's no point in me trying to fight anything. The answer is move forward and get it done. Like today, even we were going through a script for something. He was just like, all right, so this is the problem that we're running into here. And we talked for about 45 minutes about this.
But we made a lot of headway with it.
We came up with a solution together, and we're moving forward. We push forward, because that's how you do.
Quit is not in his vocabulary, and I find that incredibly refreshing because, as a writer, you can find things to be daunting. You can encounter a block or an obstruction that is just so discouraging to encounter, and realize that it's something that you have to deal with, that you want to shrink away from it. But then I remember, like, well, Odin's not going to shrink away from it. I have to give that 100% too. And as easy as it might be to, like, dwell on the fact, oh, this isn't working, and get down on yourself, there's no time for that. It's really just, fix the problem, keep moving forward.
Yeah. Have you guys promoted with Bancroft yet? You might have launched with
him. We launched
okay, cool.
We launched with Bancroft.
Yeah, he's been great. That's cool. Thanks for being here, Bancroft. We got 18 people watching, everyone. Just to let everyone know, we might have some newcomers. We're promoting JUDEX #1 from Global Frequency and Odin, and Vigilance Creed from B.A. Turner. Vigilance Creed is 2 novels and a mini comic. The mini comic is also like visual reference, kind of like, I was trying to think, like a visual key in some ways. And the 2 novels combine to make one story. And it's this kind of badass fantasy, like little bit of H.P. Lovecraft gargoyles and stuff.
Absolutely.
And JUDEX is like what it's like the Shadow. It's a public domain. I'm not the best at pitching this one yet. I might let you guys pitch it here in a second.
Yeah, I can do that if you want me to take that, Neff, or do you want to?
Do it up, man. You got this.
So JUDEX was a silent film character from 1916. And in his original appearance, he was this kind of Edmond Dantes, Count of Monte Cristo, out for personal stake revenge character. But the more that I did research on him, and came to realize that, there's a lot of speculation that he might have even been an inspiration for Walter B. Gibson's The Shadow. And this is kind of, reverse proven by the fact that the French comic book magazines published the Shadow stories during the 1940s as JUDEX, and so this brought me this idea to kind of take this character and give him a rebirth and make him this cultural defender of Paris during the Nazi occupation. That's not just fighting his occupiers. He is listening and rendering verdict upon his people for their action or inaction in the face of this occupation. And it really plays into this whole, like, especially when you bring in, like, the black and white art that we have by Fabrizio Ugolini, it really plays into this whole morality tale aspect of what we should be doing in the face of cultural oppression.
Cool. So it's kind of like maybe some modern parallels.
Yeah,
Even
there
though it
might
takes
be.
place.
There might be. We're not gonna really like to say it as allegorical or anything, but you could read in or infer some subtext in the story. There's definitely jackbooted thugs marching in the streets, suppressing the domestic culture, and there's Judex who's looking at his own people, saying, "Why have you surrendered to this?" And there's sort of a V for Vendetta style. Spirit to this story. That's Odin likes to gravitate towards the shadow element. I gravitate more towards the V for Vendetta side of things, but together they make a truly compelling character who's, he's nuanced, he's mysterious, he's motivated, and the stories it's not just, Judex fights Nazis. It's Judex investigates, the hidden character inside the heart of a man who's betrayed his own culture and started working for the enemy. It's, I think it's fun, it's nuanced, it's a good read, and it's a beautiful book.
Yeah, the art's amazing. Tell me about the design for the mask. Is that from the silent film, or did you add
No.
on?
So his original design was very yeah
Sweet,
was
creepy.
was
I like it.
was very nominal and very simplistic. He didn't have any mask or scarf or anything. He was in a cloak and a slouch cap, and he wore his face plain. And so that was one of the big things with tackling this. Is I knew that I was going to need something to tie the design together, and especially in the effort of redefining this character for this story. And so I had this idea, um, and while I may be no professional artist myself, I do dabble, and and so like I came up with some like rough sketches of, you know, this carnival style mask that works in the facade of the scales of justice into it. Um, and we initially had a different artist who did a great job with their design, but then we brought in Fabrizio Ugolini, and he kind of did his own take on the mask that I think works even better because it even plays into, the with by making the facade less obvious with the chains and making it more of an X across the face. You play in again that duality nature of the story. Um, and so yeah, like that was the whole thing. Was I needed to bring elements to this character that make him feel like this epic thing. Like, when you look at the Shadow, when you look at V for Vendetta, when you look at all of these characters, they have their design informs their persona, right? V for Vendetta has the Guy Fawkes mask. The red scarf of the Shadow is like, an embodiment of the character's own personal bloodlust as this, monster on the side of the angels. So like you know, it was important that we bring that design element to him, and so I brought him the mask, and then most importantly, I think even more important than the mask itself is the pistol, the La Veuve.
Yeah,
Um, is this, you know, he has his instrument of justice, which is not just any pistol. This is a pistol made. This is a revolver made from the blade of the guillotine, and it's got its own persona in and of itself. In Judex's hand, this weapon carries only as much ammunition as needed for justice to be served effectively. So this could act as either an unlimited ammo cheat, or if there are a bunch of people there and one of them doesn't deserve to be killed, there's not going to be a bullet for them. And so like that's really the whole brilliance of it, is you've got this character that's tethered to the French culture in pretty much every way that I can make possible, even down to the tool by which he dispenses justice.
yeah. Was that from the silent film at all, or
No,
okay?
No,
that
all of that's
Cool.
original.
You know what that
that
reminds me of is in Midnight Cowboys, this famous movie from the 70s that takes place in New York. and it's people list it as like the quintessential New York movie, but it was directed by a European guy, and I think part of the reason that it's so New York is because he came over here, and all of a sudden he can see the things that we all take for granted and the things that pop out to him, and it's kind of cool. Like you get to base it off French culture, and you're like the guillotine. And I'm like, I bet French, they might not even think that right away. They'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot. Of course. Like we definitely do chop a lot of heads off. But the fact that you can just boil it down right away to some of these iconic French kind of things is pretty cool. It ties it to the location. I want to ask you guys more about that, but I also want to ask BA. We'll come back to that. BA, because yours takes place in Detroit. What informed that decision?
So I actually grew up in Michigan, so I spent all of my college years in, the suburbs of Detroit, and it's just such a hotbed for police and governmental corruption that it just really fit the bill for the type of story I wanted to tell, and um, all of the locations, all the directions, everything is actually legitimate to today's Detroit map, and it's got a lot of kind of unique and key locations for Detroit. For example, you'll see on the cover for the first novel is the Michigan Central Station, which was the most iconic train station basically in America during World War II times and before, Ford really picked up there. And that had some really major scenes in the first Transformers and was the kind of key location in Batman versus Superman. So um, and in modern day Detroit, it's where a lot of the homeless and criminals lived because it's this massive multi-story level building that's just completely decimated on the inside. So yeah, it's just a result of spending a lot of time down there, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's cool. That's interesting. You mentioned you got into Ayn Rand kind of early.
Mhm,
She
mhm.
wrote a lot about Detroit, didn't she?
I think a bit, and a lot of she made a lot of references in regards to the locations and her fictional stories, right, to represent kind of how vibrant Detroit was at the time, right, as a result of capitalism and individuality. And then obviously now, you're kind of seeing the aftermath
Yeah, she
of
kind of
corruption.
predicted its downfall way before, right as things were starting to get
Hmm.
like the unions and stuff. And she was saying the unions are going to ruin everything, which just
Right.
sounds harsh, but that's kind of what happened.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, so that's interesting. Um, oh, let's go over the tiers too. So
Yeah.
we got physical tier, $50. What does this include?
Yeah. So that's the one where you can get the most bang for your buck. It is both novels, both variants of the colored mini comics. So the Corey Barton cover, the Skunk Artworks painted cover, and then a black and white art book, which is all the art from all of the works, plus the Joe Ball cover, which is phenomenal. And then you get 3 free art prints and 2 free bookmarks for just $50.
What's the Skunk Artworks variant MC? What's MC? Oh, mini comic. So two
Yep,
copies of the mini comic.
yep,
Cool. Yeah,
yep,
that sounds like a great deal. That's a lot of good stuff. Cool.
yep. And then yeah, there's the individual options for the mini comics, the novels, and then there's just the 2 novels together, the physical option and also the digital option. So for the comic folks that really want the art itself, they could always pick up the mini comic as an add-on to, let's say, the digital package, which is only $25 for the 2 comic or the 2 novels together. So if you want to save on some shipping and some cost, but still want to give the book a good old try, then you can always get the digital and then pick up the mini comic to put on your shelf and flip through. So and
Yeah. Yeah. You could get the digital. You could get just book one for some of these smaller tiers if you want to dip your
mhm.
toes kind of thing. But that $50 is a good deal. So that's cool.
Yep, there's one Joe Ball sketch card left out of 3. There's the original art for the Joe Ball cover and the original painting for the Skunk Artworks cover. And then there's 2 large packages, which includes everything plus a retro custom lunchbox, a custom puzzle, custom posters, some 19 by 27 posters, and some 8 by 11 aluminum signs as well. So for people that might really want a lot of stuff.
Cool. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. Yeah, the Joe Ball original art, that's badass. I saw the sketch cards look great. There's still one available.
Yeah, the Gargoyle one's available. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, so it's still early-ish in the campaign, past 2,000. And yeah, hopefully the backer numbers gets higher and higher as it goes. Have you been on with Bancroft yet, B.A. Turner?
Yep, I launched with him as well.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
He's so great. He helps everyone.
Yep.
Tonight I'm helping
Crystal, right?
Yeah, I'm helping Crystal close down. And so she asked me yesterday, and I was like kind of honored. I was like, oh, she thought of me to help her close. I'm like, well, I also help you close.
Yeah, she's great. I recommend everybody. We've done a stream together. I highly recommend people pick up The Good Night. It's right at the cusp of funding. I believe it's a fixed goal as well. So there's maybe 8 hours left, if that. So obviously consider our books as well, but she's right at the finish line there. So I hope people watch your stream and help her out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know if money's a little bit tighter because of like inflation and stuff, and then there's a lot of options. So people can't always back two. So then like even like if I have like Earthbound out, even it's like people might be back. Earthbound will be like number 3 on their to back list, but they can only back 2 books this month.
Yep.
And like so it's a little bit, we're waiting for the economy to bounce back hopefully, and then we'll all be swimming in riches. But
hope so, yeah.
Until then, everyone, we appreciate everyone who backs and reads our stuff. And if you read it and like it, let everyone know, because the word of mouth helps a lot. And we're still trying to solve this riddle of like expanding the audience bigger and bigger, reaching bigger audiences. And I don't even know. You know what? One of the things I'm trying to do with that is just, it's like kind of like this, like the novel is like another realm. It's like, video games, animation, movies. Like if we can dabble in some of that, you can bring people back to the comics a little bit. But even that, I don't know exactly how you do it really, but I'm always curious if anyone is trying to do that kind of stuff too. You guys want to go over the JUDEX tiers?
Sure.
Yeah, man.
The featured tier is our main book with both variant covers, the Erwin Rosa version color holofoil variant and the Russ Leach black on black spot gloss with a glow in the dark finish variant. And it also comes with the mini crossover comic that we did with Von Klaus. It's Terror in the Trenches and JUDEX together in a smaller sized, ashcan sized comic with art by Monica and Tiago, the art team behind Terror in the Trenches. It also comes with a metal print of the comic's cover. So that's our featured tier.
Cool.
Also
by the way, how long is the comic and how long is the mini comic?
The main comic is 28 pages, and the mini comic, I think, is 12 or 13. I can't remember.
And this main comic, is it like part 1 of 5 or something, or what is that?
The stories are self-contained, but open-ended.
Okay.
So it's the first encounter that the reader is going to have with JUDEX in a new series. You know what?
I like that.
It's serialized.
I like that a lot. Peter. Yeah, that's awesome. Peter Samedi's doing that with what's his
King Cryptid.
Yeah, King Cryptid. Yeah. And the episodic storytelling. For one, I think it's in a way it's like more challenging, and so it's kind of fun to read, like to read a full complete story with the emotional hook and payoff in 28 pages is like nice. That's a good satisfactory experience.
Honestly, the great thing about it was that Odin really, in the first iteration, it was very concentrated. I think it was only like 16 to 18 pages, the story about the policeman Javert. So it gave us a little bit of extra room to pad it out slightly, and
it was like 22 pages.
include like
Yeah.
a hook into getting a possible continuation for another issue in
I
the next issue. And there's even
yeah.
an epilogue.
Nice. Yeah, I've been reading a little bit of old X-Men like Claremont, and I'm like, yeah, every issue is standalone. And the other thing he does that's kind of cool is he intros the characters every book too. So you could pick it up and there's like a couple pages. It's like, we're the X-Men, a team, we run a school, blah, blah, blah. Humans don't like mutants. And I'm like, dude, he's introing it every issue, telling us complete story and in like 22, 24 pages or whatever. Um, that's like pretty sweet. And like, yeah, nobody does that anymore. I saw for in an interview with Brian K. Vaughan, he was talking about writing for what's his sci-fi one?
Saga.
Saga, yeah. And he says they're like, so what do you do? How do you decide what's an issue? And he's like, 3 scenes. I'm like, you just like write 3 scenes and then that's 20 pages. So you just like throw it to the wolves or whatever. I'm like, and I like him, and he's a good writer, but that's still like, that's a little like annoying, especially if you
I
compare
give
it to,
5 scenes. You need a transition or, a scene between to connect the two from the beginning, the middle, and the end. If he's going to be like that, but he's also writing 18 to 24 page books, isn't he?
yeah, I think so. Yeah. So
So he's definitely got a lot less real estate that he has to fill.
yeah. It's like, I don't know how much you can do really, but even just thinking of it on those terms, like I do find it refreshing if the whole way you're thinking of it is not even like, we're telling a longer story and we'll just see how far we get this time. Let's see how far we got this time. If you're like, no, we have to hit some like satisfactory story beats every issue.
Oh no,
And
there definitely is here. It wraps up actually within the first 21 pages, even with those extra like 3 or 4 pages that we use to bridge the gap into a potential next issue. Then there's like a 7 to 9 page epilogue that sets up the broader context for the series as a whole. We introduce the antagonist that will brew and become a problem for Judex. But the great thing about the stories is that they're him encountering the people in his city or him encountering Nazis and having to overcome something. Though they're all very, very small scale in that regard, but they add
Yeah.
up to something bigger.
Yeah. And not every idea is like that. That's what's fun that you guys
Yeah.
designed the idea maybe this way on purpose, but it's like it can be a serialized idea. Sometimes you get an idea and you're like, okay, this is like a movie. We got to tell the movie. That's even a little bit more like Saga or whatever. But this is like, no, he's in the city. He can have 1,000 adventures. We
Yep.
don't like it can
Yeah.
be anything.
yeah,
And
and
that's, I
and like
think, Odin takes that from the comic strip element of it too.
yeah,
Yeah.
like my whole thing with this is like I obviously and I told Neff this and I said this on other streams. Obviously, there is an end point with Judex where Judex
Yeah.
is going to be able to see Paris liberated and watch Charles de Gaulle march through the Arc de Triomphe, leading the people of Paris in celebration. And obviously, that's an end. That is the end goal for the series. But like we can stretch that out for as however long we want. And the other big thing about it was, when I had initially approached him, the idea was to kind of treat these like pulps and have potentially even other creators come on and do vignettes and what have you as it grows. And you know, this first book has been just an absolute blast to put together, from working with Neff on the script to seeing Fabrizio's art come through. And I'm really excited for people to get a chance to read this. And like to that point, we even have like some of the best values you'll find
Yeah, I see
in
people
in
mentioning the
crowdfunding.
tiers. Let's just blow through them real quick so that no one gets antsy. We've got a digital tier that comes with a download code for the comic, which is being handled by Global Comics, the website. It also includes 3 months of fully paid membership. So when you back this tier at the end of the campaign, you'll get a download code. When you redeem that code, it activates 3 months of the fully paid membership for you, and you get the digital download of our book that you can download to the hard drive of your computer through their website. Then the El Guapo tier is the physical copy of the book and free shipping to your door for $10. So you're getting the 28 page book, well 30 in total, the 28 pages of story to your door, $10. Free
That is a
shipping.
good deal. That you might
Yeah.
just be breaking even on that one, but that's cool.
We make a little bit. We managed to eke out a couple of bucks because with shipping at its price point, the book is under £1, so we can afford to go underneath the ceiling for media mail since we're not sending stickers or a bookmark or anything. No stretch goals come with that tier. We don't have to pay the more upcharge shipping that you would with, say, pirate ship with the £2 or more shipping. That shipping, the £2 or more, kicks in at the basic tier, which is $20, but that's the main book. It also comes with the collectible coin, La Marianne, which is Judex's calling card of sorts, and that comes in a collectible coin case, and it also comes with a A5, I think, print by Rich Ayala that glows in the dark.
Yeah, cool. Real quick, Bancroft says, as long as it ends after World War II and not with Macron 80 years later or whatever.
No.
And no,
We
we're
might
not
have to
we're
do
not
a
going to touch that with
revival,
a 50-foot
the
pole.
Judex revival, right?
Yeah. No, you could. I don't know. What there was a meme. They were saying that Trudeau and Macron are secret gay lovers. I was like, ha, whatever. It's funny.
Yeah, Simply Green. Usually, a membership to Global Comics is $7.95 or something like that a month. I know they run some discounts where you can get your first month for $2, but this is three running months. So, like, that's if you were going to do it at the $2, that would be $6 there and $4 for the comic. That's a pretty good deal, I think. Of course, if you're not, that's like a $25 deal. So.
Nice. So sorry, we leave off with Agalit.
Then we have the variants. You can get one of the variants at the $30 tier, either or. Because if you're going to go get both, you might as well get the $50 tier, which also comes with the crossover comic and the metal mini print. Then
Yeah.
there's the mask. The mask comes with the basic tier, but there's also a add-on option to bump it up to the featured tier for $15 instead of 30 because the basic tier is 20 and the featured tier is 50. We're giving you you're saving half price, right, on the difference
Cool.
between the two. And that also comes with free shipping because trying to price out shipping for the mask is a pain in the butt, right? We don't want to actually have to be like, oh look, it's $30 for the mask or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, then there's the Widow, which is the pistol here, which I have.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
Actually, I took it apart and I was
How
fiddling
how
with
did
the
you
internals.
how did you manufacture this item?
So this is a mixture of ABS plastic and tenacious clear resin. We sculpted it in ZBrush. We actually used a Colt Peacemaker as the blueprint. So it's not functional, but the action will work. So the chamber rotates, the trigger pulls, it knocks the hammer, and it rotates the cylinder. And we 3D printed that on our Jupiter 6s, and then we primed and painted them. And that's why they look so freaking cool because
Yeah,
they're
that's awesome. So production like
professional
in
cosplay
house.
prop level stuff, all done in house. Yeah, all done in house. And you can get that plus a wooden display box that has a mounting bracket, so you can put it on your wall and you can put the gun inside and display it. Um, and that also comes with free shipping and the basic tier with an option to upgrade to the featured tier. And then there's the full Judex, which is everything plus a cloak, handmade, hand-tailored cloak by Frequency Girl. She's going to be making it for you. And I've since been able to find a hat that actually fits the mask to complete the look, right? It
Oh,
actually
cool.
fits over the mask and a person's head. It's large enough to do both. Man, that was a feat, is finding a way to order a hat that has a is compatible with that size of noggin. And so I think I'll be including that probably as well as part of the full JUDEX tier.
Cool. Yeah, so some really epic merch. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And then, of course, there will be original art coming up on the campaign as we continue on.
Cool. Cool. So we got 25 people watching. Everyone, thanks for being here. If you're getting here recently, we're promoting JUDEX #1, Vigilance Creed. JUDEX #1, these are episodic stories of a French resistance adventurer, loosely based on the Shadow. That's also based on like a public domain character called JUDEX from 1916. Odin was saying. Is that Odin? Was it even from? Did you say it's from Lost Media, or is it from just like a silent film or something?
No, they were serialized. It was a serialized set of silent films. We have the creator's name on the campaign. I'm just blanking right now. But you can actually find those serials on YouTube and watch them. Unfortunately, I've got to pop off. My son needs my help with something, and he's not taking hold off for a few minutes as an
Okay.
answer.
Yeah,
Dad
no problem.
duty.
We're only going another minute anyway, but so thank you so much for coming in, though, Odin. Good talking to you.
Of course, it was a pleasure hanging with you guys. Neff, always a pleasure. BA,
Yep.
great seeing you again, and Narwhal, thanks so much for having me on.
No problem. Yeah, thanks.
You too, man. Take care.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone check out JUDEX. The art. Look, I'll just show really quick to these pages. They really are amazing. Who's the artist, Neff?
It's Fabrizio Ugolini.
Yeah, it's so like unified. Like I love the consistency. When a comic has super like unified consistency, then you can kind of start thinking within the world of the visuals of the comic. You start picturing stuff. Like they'll reference something. It's not off panel. They're not even drawing it, but you're thinking of it in the art style of the comic. Like that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. You're in your mind's eye. You're seeing that art style be played through your brain.
Yeah.
That's a very delicate way of saying it, Aaron. Yeah, you are a writer. Um,
Oh yeah.
I mean, his stuff gets really good later on too. These are his earlier pages. We didn't want to give you anything past like page 10 because we didn't want to reveal any of the really truly stunning stuff that he does. But everyone says that artists tend to level up while they do a book, and there is definitely a level up in Fabrizio's stuff as he continues on with the art in the comic.
Cool. Yeah. I'm definitely sold and looking forward to this. It looks amazing. So yeah, thanks for coming on, Neff, and everyone. Thanks for taking a look at JUDEX, and we'll continue to. It's at 100. We might have got some sales. I'm always scared to update it because if it doesn't go up, then I say an angel dies. So we can't.
Oh, no.
If like we'll just hope we got some backers. If you don't, then at least getting some eyes on it. They might back it later. It's always, no matter what, it's always productive.
And it's always fun to hang out with you and meet other creators like BA. So I had a good time.
Yeah, it's good to meet and chat and catch up a bit. We chat a little bit behind the scenes. It's nice to finally meet you. I'll talk more with you at some point whenever down the road, because you have a whole scene going on. You got 3D printers. You got a wife maybe who helps you with stuff. Like, that's my ultimate fantasy.
She's actually not my wife. She's 3 Chinese girls in a trench coat. 3 underage Chinese girls in a trench coat. That's
even better. That's even more what I'm looking for. I just want someone to
3
help
people
me.
in a sweatshop. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but we do. We have a whole mess of stuff that we can do. We have 3D miniatures, we have 3D printers, we have costuming, we have a lot of talents under this roof.
Cool. MBA representing novels in CG. I'm glad people are out there doing it. Yeah, I want to check it out. It sounds great. It's a pretty long, which means it's probably like pretty epic, like, and you mentioned a lot of the influences you're saying are like kind of these long epic 3-hour movies. Nolan and those guys, but yeah.
I mean, what's interesting is it, like I said, it has a lot of biblical and supernatural lore, so you get a great backstory, like a great story for each of the major characters, their backstory, and it ties into archangels and again a lot of biblical lore. So the main story itself is deep, super emotional, but some of the backstories and the flashbacks that it takes you to, it almost feels like a novel, a mini novel in itself, because it's
Cool.
such a cool concept. So anybody that was a fan of either Batman, Hellboy, or the Supernatural TV series, this would be right up your alley.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds cool. Yeah. It looks great. Everyone definitely just consider, especially if you like read novels, we need to start reading CG novels.
Yeah.
And I need to do that too. I'll read like one book a year usually, or one or two. And I'm like, well, they could just be CG books. What the
There
hell
you
else
go.
am I going to read? Like
Yeah.
read some Harry Potter bullshit. Read whatever the satanic system wants to shove down my throat, whoever the latest, greatest bullshit that they're anointing or whatever.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I'm going to sign off. On my channel, it's always a little awkward. I just click end. So I'm going to click it. And then we just